Your wife left this world years ago, sweetheart. It's time to catch up with modern times and step into reality. That's the venom Cordelia Whitmore spat as her bulldozers thundered onto my land at first light. No heads up, no approval, just an $8,000 slab of concrete slicing straight through my working cattle pasture. Thick clouds of diesel exhaust hung in the air while heavy tracks flattened the very grass my 30 top-tier Black Angus depend on for survival. This here's productive ranch property here, I shouted over the roar. She just grinned, waving around phony easement documents and recording my reaction on her phone. Your livestock can find grass somewhere else, honey. Progress doesn't pause for anyone. What slipped her mind was simple. This was Taurus's domain. My 2,200-pound champion bull had ruled this pasture undisputed for 6 full years. Bulls aren't fond of uninvited guests, especially gleaming Teslas invading their prime grazing spot. 3 months down the line, her husband's shiny new Tesla ended up as $100,000 plus worth of twisted wreckage. This piece of calculated payback has gone down as epic, and the video evidence is wild. What would you have done in my boots? Drop a comment with where you're tuned in from, and hit that like button hard if you're cheering for the bull. I'm Dutch Kellerman. I've raised cattle on this ground longer than most city transplants could tell a bull from a steer. 3rd generation rancher here. My grandfather passed these 47 acres to me in 1995, and I've kept 30 registered Black Angus thriving ever since. For nearly 3 decades, I've greeted every sunrise as it turned the fields to gold. The scent of fresh morning hay still pulls me back to memories of Sarah. My wife was diagnosed with cancer 18 months back. It struck swift and merciless, leaving the ranch hollow without her voice bouncing between the barn walls. Some days I'd clip amusing clippings from the paper, ready to share over breakfast, only to face that vacant chair at the table. Sorrow stretches minutes into hours while years slip by in a blink, surrounding you with quiet and robbing you of direction. That's exactly when Willowbrook Heights began creeping in, like an urban blight overtaking good farmland. 200 identical oversized houses popped up overnight, each valued higher than my whole herd. Overnight, I had newcomers who believed lawns should look like golf greens instead of feed for livestock. The type who griped about rooster calls at daybreak yet shelled out top dollar for farm-to-table eggs at upscale grocers, craving rural charm minus any real rural life. Then Cordelia Whitmore swept in with the grace of a runaway locomotive. At 49, this ex-corporate attorney from California arrived convinced she could manage our county like a private empire. 3-term HOA president. Owner of a white Tesla Model X sporting EcoFam plates. She wore high-end yoga gear like battle armor shielding her from genuine labor and straightforward existence. Every local disagreement became, in her eyes, a corporate raid, backed by slide decks and legal warnings set in whimsical Comic Sans. Because nothing screams fair-minded like lawsuit threats in cartoon lettering. She'd relocated from Silicon Valley after her husband Brad scored a fat tech executive gig, importing that signature West Coast style of veiled hostility that turns casual chats into endless email threads longer than my land title. It started with formal complaints about my cattle mooing before dawn. Evidently Black Angus ignore suburban bedtime rules and fail to grasp quiet hours. Next came official notices claiming farm smells were tanking real estate prices, because who could tolerate authentic countryside aroma in what was once actual countryside? Threatening letters landed every Tuesday like clockwork, always copied to her lawyer. Always insisting I shift my entire livestock setup to somewhere fitting contemporary neighborhood expectations. Most folks don't realize this about easements. Recreational paths demand clear, written permission from the property owner. Old emergency access provisions can't simply morph into public trails without fresh paperwork, approvals, and consent. In plain terms, just because an ancient record notes your land doesn't grant free rein to pave whatever, wherever. Cordelia unearthed an intriguing clause from county archives, a supposed 1960s recreational easement slicing directly across my primary pasture, the very field Taurus. My 2,200-pound sovereign of the herd had dominated for 6 years. He treated that ground as his private buffet and charged at anything daring to intrude improperly. I'd watched him run off delivery vans that dared honk too close to his boundary. The true outrage hit one chilly October Tuesday. I stepped outside to discover surveyors already staking my trees for her $80,000 bike path project, slashing vivid orange excess on oaks predating her family tree. No call. No ask. No polite knock. Just brazen trespass backed by plans rooting concrete right through Taurus's kingdom. This is private property, I hollered, breath clouding in the cold. The lead surveyor hardly looked over. HOA Public Works Initiative, sir. Documentation's in order. Then I saw her, Cordelia at my fence, phone up, filming with that smug expression signaling she'd located my soft spot. What she overlooked: 3 decades working with livestock taught me patience, and proper training can shape nearly any animal behavior. Within 2 days of that surveyor stunt, Cordelia ramped up from intrusion to outright legal assault. A hefty certified envelope landed. Classic "we own lawyers and you're finished" intimidation. Inside, a cease and desist accusing me of unlawfully blocking approved infrastructure. My supposed offense? Politely requesting trespassers vacate my own land. The sender, Marcus Webb, Esquire, offer squeezed between a manicure place and a check-cashing joint. Always reassuring when your adversary's counsel shares a strip mall with payday lenders. Cordelia didn't halt at paperwork. She lodged official grievances with the county, alleging my dangerous herd threatened public safety along the future path. Her affidavits claimed Taurus intimidated harmless joggers at the fence, conveniently omitting that those joggers were her paid surveyors trespassing on posted private land with gear in hand. The sharp tang of printer toner blended with my coffee, turning it bitter as I reviewed her growing list of ultimatums. Relocate livestock from the recreational zone immediately or face county seizure and forced auction. Her counsel also dangled criminal obstruction charges if I kept harassing contractors. Apparently questioning intruders on my own dirt counts as harassment in her reality. That's when I chose counterattack, with something she never anticipated from a plain rancher: real legal savvy and qualified counsel. I retained Mackenzie Reeves, an AG law specialist who didn't rent space next to nail salons. Razor-sharp and unyielding, she'd spent 2 decades shielding farmers from precisely this brand of suburban encroachment. First things first, Mackenzie declared, fanning Cordelia's papers across a sturdy desk like crime scene photos. Let's examine this supposed easement granting them dominion over your acres. Our early digging sent my pulse racing and lit Mackenzie's gaze with triumph. The 1960s filing Cordelia brandished like a trump card covered emergency access alone: fire, EMS, law enforcement in crises. No recreational language existed in the original record. Converting emergency routes to public paths demanded brand new filings, ecological reviews, public input, and authenticated owner approval. Cordelia had faked my signature on those recreational consent papers. Mackenzie held the bogus form to the window light. This ranks among the sloppiest forgeries I've seen in 2 decades, or you've suddenly acquired signature-specific dyslexia that mangles only your name. State law treats emergency and recreational easements as entirely separate. Shifting categories requires fresh impact studies, hearings, and notarized consent. You can't unilaterally reclassify an old rescue lane as a public trail without due process. Mackenzie's further probe uncovered the personal sting. Cordelia's California bar license hung suspended 3 years prior for ethics breaches, forged signatures, stolen client funds. She'd been posing as a lawyer in Texas unlicensed, rendering her filings legally worthless, equivalent to grocery lists with fancy letterhead. While Mackenzie assembled our robust defense and drafted countersuits, I launched a private countermeasure at home. Decades handling cattle-proved animals learn fast with steady reinforcement. Taurus possessed far more intelligence than HOA tyrants credited him with. I started basic sound pairing drills, playing car alarm clips at feeding hour, then treating him generously when he approached the source rather than fleeing. The rewarding crack of high-quality pellets between his jaws turned into the anthem of what I secretly dubbed Operation Retribution. Cordelia rushed to retain legitimate counsel after her shady lawyer imploded, but the damage was irreversible. Her fakes, unauthorized practice, and bogus consents formed a damning trail begging for fraud probes. Mackenzie lodged grievances with the State Bar, District Attorney, and Attorney General's Consumer Unit. The neighborhood began dividing in this increasingly visible clash. Some folks silently backed my basic right to work my land. Others swallowed Cordelia's progress storyline hook, line, and sinker. The local diner turned into quiet turf wars, talk halting when I entered, resuming in murmurs once I left with coffee. Yet each dusk at feeding, I'd observed Taurus honing his reaction to those alarm recordings. Steady, deliberate training, just like any skill worth mastering. Cordelia refused retreat, especially once her legal bluster collapsed. Unable to bully with phony attorneys and falsified papers, she pivoted to ecological sabotage, because nothing screams enlightened leadership like twisting green issues against your neighbor. 2 weeks post-forgery exposure, she rolled out a so-called community wellness campaign. Glossy flyers flooded mailboxes, stock images of filthy waterways paired with screaming headlines. Is your drinking water poisoned? Her charge: my herd polluted the creek with hazardous runoff, endangering the whole development. Relocation demanded now to avert catastrophe. She brought in Dr. Richard Peaton, eco-consultant, rolling up in a white van with official-looking graphics. Dressed in spotless lab coat, toting impressive gadgets, he sampled water above and below my land while Cordelia documented for her online crusade. 30 years of filth, she proclaimed to her camera beside the creek my cattle had drunk from safely forever. This neighborhood merits cleaner water than farm pollution downstream. Outrage burned my throat reading Peaton's draft findings, alarming E. coli counts below my operation, necessitating urgent herd removal for safety. Mackenzie drilled skepticism into me. Quick online digging exposed Peaton's firm as a home office, his lab a bedroom rigged with Amazon gear. Worse, Richard Peaton was Richard Whitmore, Cordelia's brother-in-law, surname swapped post-bankruptcy and restraining order in California. His eco-expertise? A business bachelor's and zero science background. I requested official testing from real EPA labs. Results flipped the narrative. My managed grazing enhanced creek health via natural filtration. The HOA's heavy lawn chemicals leached pollution from their artificial pond. Under prior appropriation doctrine, my grandfather's 1952 senior water rights trumped any latecomer development. No fabricated green scare could force relocation. Community split as expected. Some swallowed Cordelia's panic whole, clamoring to oust the polluting cattle. Others backed my rights quietly, including Vernon Jacobson, retired engineer who chose the area for its genuine farming presence. Son, Vernon murmured at the hardware store, I tested the water myself with proper methods. Her dadda's invented. Plenty of us see through it. While Mackenzie shredded the eco-fraud, I refined Taurus's training. He now locked onto luxury car alarm tones, especially Tesla and BMW pitches, with uncanny accuracy. Premium molasses rewards while sounds played forged a strong link. Alarms meant approaching for treats. Molasses sweetness blending with twilight hay became my favorite signal of advancing justice. That weekend, the local paper dropped an expose outing Peaton's sham qualifications and family ties. Real scientists mocked the fake results and praised managed grazing for riparian benefits. Cordelia's green attack imploded, exposing her readiness to rope relatives into crime. Mackenzie folded the bogus reports into our swelling case, heading toward what she dubbed the jackpot of property violations. My deepest gratification came watching Taurus master his sound cues at feeding. Tesla tones sent him charging purposefully toward the origin. 2,200 pounds of conditioned retribution, primed against targeted vehicles. Cordelia's green scheme failure should have halted her. Instead, desperation turned the HOA boss into an outright felon. Rather than withdraw, she crossed into felony territory. One grey Monday, I found motor oil dumped in my cattle troughs, not lethal, but enough to foul the water and force well hauling. Petroleum stench lingered in the fog, proof of nighttime sabotage. 2 days later, during Sarah's graveside remembrance, my truck's tires were slashed. Timing screamed intent. Striking during morning crossed into pure malice. Cordelia's intimidation escalated. She contracted Apex security for protection patrols around my boundaries. 3 black uniformed men with badge-like patches parked at my entrance, tailing visitors and filming. When folks protested the intimidation, guards claimed to be defending against AG terror threats. The day 2 cattle came up lame from pellet wounds, small caliber, non-lethal but agonizing. I knew would hit felony animal cruelty. Someone aimed to frighten without killing outright and risking big charges. Mackenzie and I dug into Apex. No state license. Registration led to a mail drop. The guards. Felons hired via Craigslist with burner emails. Subpoenaed records showed HOA emergency funds paying Apex directly. Embezzling community cash to hire unlicensed thugs for neighbor intimidation qualified as conspiracy, racketeering, federal wire fraud. Cross-state criminal schemes using legitimate entities trigger mandatory sentences and total forfeiture. While courts move slowly, I pushed Taurus's training harder. He locked onto Tesla Model X's unique 1,200 Hz tone with deadly consistency, advancing from 200+ yards. Hoofbeats during drills became my favorite rhythm, each success closing in on perfect execution. Public opinion swung sharply once Cordelia's illegal security hire surfaced. Vernon rallied honest residents appalled by their president's crimes. Their probe uncovered systematic fund misuse, personal Tesla payments, luxury getaways disguised as research. "We came for quiet retirement," Vernon whispered at the store. "Not to bankroll some entitled newcomer's war on our farmer neighbor." The harassment drew media scrutiny to HOA finances. TV crews probed mismanagement. The AG's office launched inquiries from homeowner tips. Cordelia's panic fueled wilder moves. An anonymous call threatened accidental gate release at night, letting my herd stray onto highways for collisions. Disguised voice, but the smug phrasing screamed Cordelia. I wired motion cameras everywhere and bunked in the barn for protection. Hay scent mingled with protective fury as I grasped at depths to seize my heritage. Mackenzie filed multi-agency reports but cautioned, solid cases need months of proof before cuffs. Justice delayed. My herd needed immediate safeguarding. So I shifted strategy, crafting my own moment of reckoning instead of waiting. The yearly HOA assembly neared. Cordelia planned to unveil her final land grab there. 3 weeks into Mackenzie's work, she phoned with game-changing intel. "Dutch, brace yourself." Financial docs spread like puzzle pieces. This was never truly about a path or your acres. Forensic review uncovered Cordelia and Brad skimming nearly $890,000 from Willowbrook over 2 years via sham contracts, padded bills, and fake emergencies. Brad's tech firm bled cash, propped by investor scams. Bankruptcy loomed in weeks when Cordelia eyed my land's value. Her path ploy aimed to evict me so they could flip the zone to Sunbelt developers for $3.2 million. Preliminary deals already inked, conditional on my 47 acres. The path? No recreation. Access bind for 200 more luxury homes. This wasn't a crime. 25 years earlier, Sarah lodged the California bar complaint shattering Cordelia's career. Forged signatures, stolen funds leading to suspension and California exit. The whole plot, revenge on a deceased woman, executed against her widower. HOA role, targeted move, path routing through Sarah's ash-scattered grove, all calculated torment and theft. Mackenzie's voice shook with anger. She's orchestrated this since learning your location. Every escalation, water tampering at the memorial, harassment on Sarah's birthday, targeting her oak trees, was designed to wound you and claim the land holding her remains. Personal vendetta clarified the cruelty. Federal RICO statutes apply to cross-state conspiracies using mail-or-wire, allowing seizure of all crime-tainted assets, houses, cars, accounts. Cordelia's lavish life faced erasure. Then Mackenzie dropped the bombshell shifting power. The FBI possessed sufficient proof for swift arrests on federal counts with 15-year minimums. They sought dramatic takedown at the upcoming HOA gathering for maximum exposure. Cordelia intends to declare eminent domain against you there, Mackenzie outlined. The instant she tries, agents in the crowd execute warrants for racketeering, conspiracy, wire fraud. I held winning cards, legal ruin via prosecution, financial wipeout via forfeiture, career death via conviction. Legal victory satisfied, but lacked the instant shame she earned for violating Sarah's memory. I wanted both. Mackenzie synced with the FBI for arrests. I arranged public reckoning via 2,200 pounds of flawlessly conditioned farm justice. The scheme crystallized elegantly. Cordelia would roll up in her Tesla, smug about stealing my legacy. Agents waited. Cameras rolled. Taurus waited in the neighboring field, tuned to Tesla alarms. Some offenses merit prison. Hers deserved trampling by furious bull before 300 witnesses and live news. Anticipation tasted metallic with evening coffee as I checked on Taurus's final sessions. Federal win locked. Public shaming via livestock precision incoming. Cordelia aimed to erase Sarah's legacy and seize our heritage. Instead, she'd star in a viral clip delivering Texas's costliest property rights tutorial. With the FBI alignment set and exposure certain, I had 1 week to stage Texas agriculture's sweetest justice, demanding flawless timing, animal mastery, and law enforcement sync with one brilliant bull. Mackenzie orchestrated legal ballet. Agent Martinez placed undercover operatives throughout the venue with sealed warrants primed for Cordelia's land grab speech. Media invited under HOA transparency pretext for full coverage of her collapse. My side demanded expertise in behavioral conditioning and vehicle acoustics. Smartphone recordings of Tesla alarms became Taurus's advanced soundtrack. Dawn to dusk drills sharpened discrimination among luxury systems. Classical conditioning peaks with 200 to 300 repetitions across 2 to 3 weeks using premium rewards. Bulls retain audio cues exceptionally. Translation: enough patience and molasses treats turn a bull into a pinpoint response weapon. Molasses tang with hay became constant. Taurus reacted fiercest to model XS 1200 Hz panic tone, launching territorial charge from 400 plus yards. Political prep needed finesse. Vernon rallied honest residents sickened by crimes. They'd fill seats demanding answers, prime witnesses for arrest and car carnage. Front row seats for handcuffs, Vernon strategized at a hardware store, plus footage of Tesla's fate. Positioning Taurus for drama without liability posed a challenge. Parking bordered Pasture, divided by regular fencing, adequate for containment, not condition charges. Solution: smartphone-linked remote gates using cheap actuators and app control. Legal for herd management, perfect for timed release. Midweek: camera scouting, contingency mapping. Hired videographer as AG Education doc cover. Multiple HD angles for court and viral spread. Psych theatre built over confidence. Staged calls implying surrender leaked to her network. Mackenzie held loud settlement talks in public spots for spy relay. By Friday, Cordelia crowed online about modernization triumph and farm obstruction resolution. Her certainty made her perfect prey, unsuspecting arrival in Tesla, convinced she'd won my heritage. Final tuning aligned Taurus's peak aggression with meeting timing. Evening feed heightened territorial drive. Panic alarm would ignite condition charge. Safety engineered. Barriers funneled trajectory to vehicles, not people. Vet on discreet standby for bull welfare. Evening grain aroma fused with Justice's metallic edge during last drills. Taurus hit Tesla cues with machine-like reliability. 2,200 pounds of modified livestock set to school on Texas rights of respect. Saturday rehearsal flawless. Remote gate smooth. Taurus consistent. Containment solid. Sunday dusk on the porch. Timeline review while Taurus grazed calm. Feds handled the criminal side. Bull delivered personally. Cordelia would pay steep tuition. Monday's assembly would fuse federal enforcement with farm precision. Viral gold for rural advocates. Expecting Cordelia's smug hold through the weekend, instead she panicked into reckless final play, showing cornered criminal danger. Saturday dawn. High-end surveillance gear appeared on poles overlooking my land. Military-grade 90 audio units installed overnight. Electronic scent mingled with coffee as I inspected. Beyond HOA antics, implied serious criminal backing for last stand. Mackenzie's call confirmed. Problem: Cordelia engaged Blackstone Consulting for emergency assessment. Not legit. PMC outfit specializing in coercion and evidence wiping. Front for Brad's California partners facing their own fraud heat. They need this deal to survive. Beyond wife revenge now. Interlocking crime rings targeting my acres. Sunday. Blacked out SUVs with tactical armed men patrolled, claiming domestic terror defense from my farm. Real aim surfaced evening. Barn break-in to plant explosives or chemicals framing me for seizure justification. Motion cams caught masked intruders hiding contraband amid tools. Planted evidence adds 10-year mandatory federal counts plus forfeiture. My alarm summoned local or FBI fast. Martinez arrested 2 operatives with illegals and fake federal IDs. Hidden recordings documented the entire plot for trials. Cordelia's desperation peaked Monday. $50,000 cash bribe attempt to Sheriff Thompson for raid using failed plant. The sheriff wired up, recorded her pitch, adding corruption felonies. Thompson stated on tape. You want to raid innocent property using your planted evidence. That's organized crime, not policing. By afternoon, Martinez nabbed 4 Blackstone men. Warrants out for California partners. The network is crumbling fast. Yet Cordelia clung to belief evening meeting would save her scheme. Unaware every conspiracy threadsat documented. Now major RICO targeting interstate crime. Satisfaction tasted sharp with pre-meeting coffee during Taurus prep. Feds built decades-long sentences. Bull redded instant social media justice. Escalation sealed harsher fate. Terrorism, tampering, racketeering carrying life without parole. Some crooks quit digging. Others excavate their tomb. Cordelia finished hers with military gear and explosives. Tonight fused federal reckoning with farm spectacle via FBI plus trained livestock. Hours pre-meeting brought Cordelia's wildest escalation. Full character smear blitz to tank my credibility pre-arrest. Monday morning HOA email barrage. Faked photos of me abusing cattle, doctored papers alleging meth lab on ranch, forged reports claiming I threatened HOA massacre with farm gear. Defamation scale staggering, but using the official HOA system left a traceable trail straight to her device. Every recipient became a potential federal witness. Fake so clumsy residents spotted instantly. Meth gear obviously vaccine tools. Threats riddled spelling of format errors screaming amateur. Mackenzie fielded floods of calls from residents reporting blatant lies and backing prosecution. Smear unified opposition, demanding her ouster and charges. Undeterred, afternoon brought cruelest strike. Actors posing as grieving kin alleging Sarah secret addict, cancer cover for drug running. Social posts claimed Memorial Oak hid drug cache or evidence. Weaponizing the dead wife's memory exposed a moral void. Ensuring her humiliation was extra sweet. Martina's updated evening. Most sweeping RICO here ever. 47 federal counts across statutes. Life if half stick. Probe uncovered broader crimes. Brad's firm laundering crypto scam proceeds. HOA funds buying digital assets sold for scheme cash. FBI pegged $2.3 million plus stolen total. Most shocking. California organized crime links planning my property as an interstate drug hub. Path equals smuggling corridor for cartel Texas foothold. Interstate felonies with commerce trigger enhanced guidelines. No parole, full forfeiture. Cordelia faced total loss and lifetime prison. Evening arrived. Parking jammed with meeting attendees. Taurus positioned ideally. Remote gate armed. Cameras discreet. Evening breeze carried the scent of justice as Cordelia's white Model X parked precisely predicted. Adjacent weakened fence for max Taurus impact. Feds ready in audience for land grab attempt. Network fully compromised. Evidence airtight. Vernon packed honest residents demanding answers. Ideal witnesses for arrest plus car lesson via train bull. Vindication tasted metallic with adrenaline heading to the center. Legal. Life via prosecution. Personal. Costly destruction on HD for viral spread. Cordelia terrorized a grieving widower. Defiled wife's memory for profit. Tonight. Expensive tuition in Tesla damage and prison. Willowbrook Community Center never hosted such a crowd. 300 plus overflowing. Media set for development story. Feds blended in with warrants. Cordelia swept in late in white Model X. Parking spot on. Adjacent fence to Taurus's graze. Smug smile radiated certainty she'd announce my property's theft via fraud. Nervous sweat mixed with coffee scent as seats filled. Vernon organized an accountability block. Cordelia loyalists huddled front, blind to impending spectacle. Ladies and gentlemen, Cordelia declared from the podium, oozing arrogance. Tonight marks triumph for progress. After persistent negotiation, we've overcome agricultural barriers blocking our bike path. Remote click, renderings flashed of paths slicing my pasture. Through cooperative spirit and legal resolve, all easements and approvals secured for this vital recreation upgrade. Mackenzie rose from the third row, warrant folder prominent. Mrs. Whitmore, Mackenzie Reeves for Dutch Kellerman. Care to clarify forging my client's signature on easement consents. Center buzzed shock as Mackenzie projected forgeries vs. Genuine. Discrepancies glaring. Further, Mackenzie pressed, explain embezzling $890,000 from emergency funds for your private land grab. Financial trails hit screen. HOA transfers to personal accounts. Proof undeniable. Lies. Fabricated conspiracy between grieving widower and crooked lawyer blocking progress. Cordelia shrieked, mask slipping. Special Agent Martinez advanced, badge out. Cordelia Whitmore, FBI. You're under arrest. Racketeering, mail-or-wire fraud, conspiracy, attempted bribery. Chaos erupted, realizing a live federal bust of HOA head. The media rolled as Martinez Mirandized. Agents nabbed Brad near exit. Cordelia's panic birthed a viral climax. Rejecting custody, she fled screaming persecution, slamming the Tesla panic button for help. A distinctive 1,200 Hz alarm rang out, igniting Taurus from 400 yards. I triggered the remote gate discreetly. Legend unfolded. Taurus burst the fence with 2,200-pound conditioned fury, belying the audio source. Cordelia's Model X became HOA history's priciest tutorial. Bull methodically demolished panels while the crowd spilled out, gasps, laughter blending with crunching luxury engineering. The media caught every second, birthing a viral phenomenon. Martinez told shrieking Cordelia amid wreckage. Your policy excludes livestock justice damage. I strolled to the ruined car, handed lawsuit papers, and delivered the line. Progress waits for no bull, sweetie. Applause thundered as agents escorted Cordelia Brad away. Taurus posed triumphant, munching reward treats for flawless show. 6 months post Taurus's global headline rampage, justice balanced federal and farm flavored. Cordelia drew 7 years federal plus $1.22m restitution. Brad 5 for conspiracy or fraud. Network imploded. For more sentenced 3 to 12 years. Forfeiture satisfying. Wrecked Tesla evidence seized. McMansion. Luxury rides. Stolen funds taken. Residents recouped embezzled cash with interest. I gained hefty civil settlements. Legal wins sparked broader good. The new HOA board post-emergency elections adopted the Good Neighbor Charter, favoring cooperation, requiring supermajority for big moves. Vernon took the presidency, applying engineering and sense. The bike path finished rerouted around my land with voluntary easements, added AG heritage signs, and a memorial bench overlooking Pasture for cattle-watching cyclists. Sarah Kellerman Memorial AG Education Fund, $200,000 endowed from settlements, backs sustainable ranching students at Texas A&M. Early winners focused on heritage breeding or conservation. Mrs. Kellerman would be proud, first recipient Jennifer Martinez said, knowing her legacy preserves traditions she championed. Conservation capped dream. Development rights donated to Texas Land Conservancy, permanent easement locking 47 acres as working farm forever, yielding tax perks for programs. The annual Heritage Ranch Festival exploded. 2,000 plus visitors for tours, demos, barbecue fundraisers supporting scholarships and farm preservation. Taurus turned into a superstar. Justice Bull Tesla smash clip hit 15M plus views. His offspring breeding rights fetch premiums, funding Texas animal rescues. Deepest change. Personal. The justice quest for Sarah evolved to honoring her values via education or conservation. Ash-scattered oak groves became serene gardens. School kids learn about Texas ecosystems on field trips. Mackenzie and I found partnership beyond cases, planning ranch defense legal foundation expansion, non-profit aiding family farms versus corporate or HOA grabs. Ripple spread. My tale spurred 12 similar HOA challenges. Precedent aided heritage protection. State passed Kellerman Act, bolstering farm safeguards, harsher forged easement penalties. National spotlight yielded advocacy. Congressional testimony on sprawl versus family farms, conference talks on rural heritage, nationwide farmer consultations. The community shifted positively. Willowbrook values rose post-Cordelia, residents appreciating real age next door over endless suits. Education bridged suburban ranch gaps mutually. Kids on tours ask about Taurus, famous bull defending rights. I reply, justice needs patience, training, timing, but worth chasing for what's precious. Each sunset gilds pasture where Cordelia schemed a fake path. Memorial bench overlooks Taurus grazing spot, site of costly lesson on respect and honoring lost spouses. What opened with sorrow and crime became community mending, conservation win, farm education celebration. Sarah endures via scholars, safeguarded land, proof everyday folks beat corruption with persistence, evidence, and sometimes brilliantly trained bulls. Thanks for joining us on HOA Stories, where entitled Karens finally meet their match. If this had you rooting or wincing, smash like, comment your thoughts, subscribe for the next crazy HOA saga.